In this video, I'm going to be making a tier list over all of the flyers in Ark Survival Evolved. So before we start, I just want to mention that I have mainly played PvE, so this ranking is based off of just PvE in general, so PvP it's going to be a little bit different for players that do play PvP, so just keep that in mind. And starting off the list at C tier, we're going to have the Pteranodon. This is just a basic starter mount. It's pretty simple. It is a good flyer, but it doesn't have a lot of stamina. It does move fast though, but also does not have a lot of weight either. It's just a really good mount at the start, but once you get past the start, there's not really a use for it. And next we have the Argentavis, which I'm putting in the S tier. I mean, this is just a really great mount ever since it's got its TLC update. It has a ton of weight, a ton of stamina. The only thing that's bad about it is it's really slow, but it can pick up large dinosaurs. It has a weight reduction on almost everything in the entire game, so you can move around tons of resources super easily. So that is a really great mount. And then we have the Dimorphodon in the D tier. It's just a shoulder pet, and with PvE, these small little shoulder pets aren't really that useful. We have another one, the Onyx. This one isn't really that useful, and it's kind of hard to tame. And then in the F tier, we have the Microraptor, simply because I don't like Microraptors. And then we have the Pelagornis at C tier. This one's not really that useful of a one. It has low stamina, low weight. The only really cool thing about it is it can swim on top of the water. It does have a little bit of speed, but this one's kind of like, it's not really that useful. And then we have the Quetzal, which is going to be in the B tier. Now, if this were 2016, this would probably be in the S tier, but nowadays, not really as useful as it was. It still can be a little bit useful, but the RG kind of beats it in a lot of the ways that it used to be useful. It still does have a lot of weight and a lot of stamina, and it has a platform saddle on it, which is pretty useful, because not many flyers have platform saddles. But it is pretty useful still. And then we have the Archeopteryx at the D tier. You can just use it as a glider, but you can't do anything else while you're using it. And then we have the Ichthyornis, which I do not like, so it is in the F tier. And then we have the Terra japa, which is going to be at the B tier. This is a pretty useful flyer. It is kind of slow with low stamina and stuff like that, but it can go to walls, and it's got like 360 turning radius. And you can use weapons on the back of it. Plus, it's got a 3-seater saddle, so it's pretty useful. And then we have the giant moth coming in at D tier. Now this thing is pretty much a joke. It has no stamina, no weight or anything. It's basically like a starter tame on Scorched Earth, but barely even. It doesn't fly that well. You can move like literally like 2 feet before it runs out of stamina, so yeah. And then we have the giant vulture at D tier. It's just another shoulder pet that doesn't really have much of a use in PvE. And then we have the Phoenix, which is not really useful at all because it is extremely hard to tame. It's really rare to find once you do find it and then try to tame it. And then all of that for a mount that doesn't have a lot of stamina, doesn't have a lot of weight. It's kind of strong, but it's not fast either. It's just not really that useful of a creature at all. And then we have my personal favorite creature, the Wyvern, which is coming in at S tier. I mean, it is a giant dragon. It's got tons of weight, tons of stamina. It moves really fast. It can pick up large animals, as well as it's got multiple variants like the lightning, poison, ice, fire. All of these elements are really strong as well with their own unique abilities. This is all around just one of the coolest creatures in the entire game. Then we have the giant bee, which is really annoying to tame, and then once you do, it just turns into a beehive, which you can get honey from, which you could just get honey by harvesting it, so I don't really find it that useful. And then we have the Griffin, which is the first one coming in at the A tier. The Griffin is just a really good, fast travel mount with a decent amount of stamina, a decent amount of weight. It can glide, which makes it really fast, which probably makes it one of the fastest creatures in the game. It is the first creature to have the glide ability. And all around, this is just a pretty fun creature to ride around on. Then we have the Rock Drake coming in at the S tier. The Rock Drake is super fun to ride around on. It doesn't fly, but you can glide around with it a bunch and move around super fast if you know how to do it. You can dash towards stuff. It's a really strong mount with a ton of stamina, a ton of weight. Obviously the best on Aberration, but still, even on other maps, you can traverse around the map with it and get around pretty fast. And then at the C tier, we have the Featherlight, which is the first shoulder pet in the C tier, simply because it gives off light, which can keep you from getting mauled to death by Nameless. Then we have the Snow Owl coming in at the S tier. The Snow Owl is just a great mount in general. It moves really fast. It can dive and make it go even faster. It's got a freeze ability, which you can use to heal dinosaurs, which is super useful. And then not only that, it's got good weight and stamina, so you can go around the map pretty quickly and haul around a bunch of stuff. This one was kind of hard to rank, but this is the Desert Titan. I have this in B tier because, well, it is extremely hard to tame. One of the hardest creatures to tame in the game because it is a Titan. And then once you get it, I mean, it's pretty cool. It only lasts for 24 hours, though. If you're on a server, when you're playing single player, though, I think it will last forever if you have the right settings on. I mean, you could build a giant base on the back of it, go kill a bunch of stuff. You could But other than that, I mean, it's not super useful if you're not on PvP. And then we have the space whale coming in at the B tier. This is a giant flying whale in the middle of space. It's quite interesting. You need a textile to ride it. Once you do, there's tons of guns and turrets on the back of it that are pretty fun to mess around it. And it can also teleport and do like a hyperdrive type Star Wars thing where it teleports forward. It doesn't really go too far, but it is fun to play with. And then we have the Bloodstalker, easily coming in at S tier. This thing is the most fun thing to ride around in the entire game. You can literally swing around like Spider-Man and go a million miles an hour across the map. It's really fun. It's got pretty good stats, you know, decent weight and stamina. It's not the greatest, but it's just super fun to ride around on, so it's going to be in the S tier. Then we have the Anaphus, which is a flyer that has got a jetpack for a saddle, and it's really fast and it's really fun to ride around on, so it's going to go in the B tier. Then we have the Crystal Wyvern, which is going to go in the S tier. It's a wyvern, but it's a little bit smaller, but it goes way faster. And then we have the Argentavis, or the Space Dolphin, in the A tier. This one is so fun to ride around on. I feel like a Top Gun fighter pilot. It's great. It's really fun to ride around on. It's pretty strong too. It was super overpowered in PvP when it came out, but in PvE it's just a really fast flyer that's fun to go around. And then we have the Mei Wing coming at S tier. This thing is just ridiculous. It goes like at the speed of sound. It's one of the fastest gliders. It doesn't even fly. It's just like glider, but it's just that good because it flies so fast, as well as you can use it for like imprinting and stuff like that, and to keep the babies with a little holder on the saddle, which can be useful as that, but it's just a really fast travel mount. It's got pretty good weight and a ton of stamina too. Then we have the Fedora Hawk in the B tier. It literally gets your stuff for you, so pretty useful. Next we have the Sinnoh Macrobe, which is like the greatest shoulder pet of all time, so it's going in the A tier. This you can literally glide around with. You won't take fall damage because you can just glide before you hit the ground. You can just glide off the side right here, as well as flying up. You can just glide off the side of a cliff, so this thing is great. Then we have the Voidrim, or the Tech Wyvern. I mean, it's just the same as a regular Wyvern, except for it looks way cooler. It has a different taming method, but it's pretty much the same as a Wyvern, except for it's only found in Genesis Part 2. But this one is pretty cool. So it is definitely going in the S tier along with the Wyvern. Then we have the Despotous Draculus, or the Giant Bat. This one is great, so it's going in the S tier. I mean, it flies really fast, great stamina, weight. It can dive, so that means it goes extra fast. It's really strong as well, and it gets the blood from its enemies, so you get infinite blood packs, and as well as draining blood, so it's really strong that way. So that is all of them ranked in the tier list. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, make sure to leave a like and also subscribe. Check out my Twitter and Discord in the description. But thanks for watching, and bye.